SQA does e-assessment because we recognise there are real benefits for learning providers and for learners who are undertaking our qualifications. Many of the real benefits of using e-assessment that we see are to do with the flexibility of delivery for learners. We also think that there are real benefits for learning providers. Very difficult to realise some of those benefits, but we think that it provides the opportunity for assessment on demand and providing more flexible learning and assessment opportunities. The most widely used types of e-assessment are the ones you'd expect, actually. They're multiple choice, they're multiple response, and for a variety of reasons. Firstly, because they're easy to author, and I think the real challenge is that how we develop skills in question writers to enable them to think differently about how you assess knowledge and skills using objective questioning. We've seen an increase in use of other question types by learners in non-traditional areas, so in things like care and social sciences and beauty therapy and plumbing. They're the ones that are beginning to show great innovation and imagination around the use of different question types for assessment. E-assessment can benefit colleges in many different ways. I think firstly it's about flexibility. Much of class time can be taken up by the moderation and invigilation of assessment, and by using e-assessment that assessment can be taken out of the classroom and provided at a time that suits learners. I think secondly, it can also increase the number of learners who are involved in learning. If learners see that they're using technology and something they're familiar with in part of that course, then they're more likely to engage on an ongoing basis. And I think evidence has shown that retention for courses has increased based on the use of technology to support their learning and assessment. The aspects of e-assessment that really work best are varied. For learners, I think the immediacy of marking is something they really enjoy. I think control of the navigation, the use of media as part of assessment. Too often assessment is flat and boring, and a lot of reading in text. Online assessment can be interesting and engaging. And I think the fact that learners get a chance to do the assessment and questions in the order that they want, in the way that they suit their needs better. I think the other real benefits are to do with the fact that you can dynamically generate assessments, so it's unique to those learners. That learners sitting next to one of their colleagues is doing a different version of the assessment, equivalent, of the same difficulty, robust, but different and unique to them. And that provides the flexibility that you do not need a proper assessment room with all partitions and little cubicles, but actually they can be done in a learning centre. They can be done in a van with 4 laptops. They can be done in a mobile unit. That kind of flexibility provides real benefits, I think, for everybody involved in e-assessment. Some of the real challenges, I think, around e-assessment are probably for learning providers. I think that much of the flexibility that comes with e-assessment provides challenges, because what we deliver in learning providers in terms of timetabling and structure is very often quite rigid. And the moment you bring in flexibility, you need to think about what you can do about learning. It's one thing taking assessment out of the classroom, but how are you then going to support learners in doing their learning innovatively using technology as well? So I think there's some real challenges there. I think some real challenges around skill set. I think that people assume that because you know subjects, you can write good assessment content, and that's obviously not the case. And I think there's some real CPD challenges for staff, new staff and staff who are really experienced in developing good, interesting, engaging e-assessment content. Practitioners can overcome some of the barriers around the use of e-assessment, I think, by seeing it as a key to their future delivery. I think it's going to be a core skill for learning providers, not just for lecturers in colleges, but if you look at teachers in schools, and the use of technology is becoming key to what they do, and increasingly will become so. And I think teaching staff and people involved in delivery need to really upskill to learn about what difference it will be about delivery of learning, how they're going to use technology to support their learning and delivery, and how are they going to develop good, interactive, engaging e-assessment that learners are going to enjoy and really assesses the learning that they're supposed to be assessing. E-assessment is better than paper-based assessment only where it's fit for purpose. There is a real place for paper-based assessment, not just to do with circumstance, but to do with subject and to do with the needs of the learner. But in the other areas, there are some real benefits for e-assessment in the way it provides flexibility, interactivity, and that kind of control that learners have over their assessment not just in terms of their own answering of the content, but also their engaging with the kind of media that might be available within that assessment. There is some advice I would give to learning providers who are thinking about either using or developing an e-assessment strategy, and that is, it's not about the technology. That technology plays a key aspect in what you do, but it's not going to be about that. It's going to be about having appropriately skilled staff, it's about having an appropriately flexible timetabling system, and it's actually about engaging your learners and letting them have an input into the types of e-assessment and e-learning you want to engage with it. There's a range of support available for centres who are delivering e-assessment, and I can only speak from SQA's perspective. We recognise there's some skills development required to support them in the administration, scheduling, delivery and invigilation of assessment in an environment that very often for many staff is alien to them. So we're actually developing some online web-based learning materials at the moment to enable them to learn in their own time about how to do that, how to use the system. It's not difficult, it's not high level, and with basic IT skills you can effectively deliver e-assessment and get results for your learners.